still managing to find novel new ways to spend our tax money on questionable things. Lisa Fletcher follows the money when it comes to podcasts you're paying for, whether you like it or not.
Trans people are human too. We also deserve love, especially from our parents.
This is an episode from a podcast called Purple Royale, a series covering issues and stories affecting trans and intersex lives. It's produced in Zimbabwe, Africa, with a $5,000 grant from the State Department.
This is my story, the story of a survivor.
Over the past 4 years, hundreds of millions of taxpayer dollars have been funneled into projects that involved podcasts. To give these podcasts their due, many have very interesting discussions on history, science, and even farming, content for a new information age. The debate is over whether federal taxpayers should be forced to foot the bill.
Yeah, we identified.
Andrzejewski, founder of the government watchdog group OpenTheBooks, studied that spending. What'd you find?
So we found that podcasting at the federal level is big business. Little did we know that each one of us is paying a podcast tax. But we found $324 million of federal projects that in one form or another had a podcast attached to them.
Which federal agencies were funding these projects?
So you have agencies like the National Science Foundation. You have the Department of Agriculture. You have many of the podcasts funded through the National Endowment of the Arts, the National Endowment of the Humanities.
Sacred and Profane is a podcast funded by the National Endowment of the Humanities with almost $200,000 in federal taxpayer money.
This is Sacred and Profane, a show where we explore how religions shape us and how we shape religions.
And in one of the episodes, they actually, it's entitled The Devil's Advocate, and they take a pro-Satanist view. They actually say that Satanists have an important role to play in American political life and in America's religions.
The Satanic Temple has also come to embrace 7 tenets meant to guide their members' behavior. The tenets include striving to act with compassion towards all creatures, respecting the freedoms of others, respecting science and reason, and the belief in bodily autonomy.
Some of this, I think, is just unjustifiable. So, for example, you have $446,000 on a podcast through the Department of Agriculture called Regeneration Rising. It says that in America, there's a system in agriculture and farming that's systemically racist. If you want to do that with your own dime and utilizing your own businesses to make money, and if that's a marketplace idea, go for it. But don't use U.S. taxpayer money to promote the concept.
Some people might argue that speech is art. Where do you draw the line?
So I think you draw the line where the point of view becomes propaganda. And the federal government or a state or local government should not be, cannot be in the propaganda business. So when they're promoting silly notions or radical ideologies, that's when you cross the line.
Though while Congress controls the purse, the question might be who controls the messaging that is being funded by our own government. For Full Measure, I'm Lisa Fletcher in Washington, D.C.
After a break, what's ahead next week on Full Measure?